Welcome to the European debut of the ORION loudspeaker. This is the first day of Munich High-End 2023. We're really happy to be here. We're very excited to be here. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Rockport and a little bit about the technology behind ORION. Rockport Technologies was founded over 30 years ago by Andy Payer. Andy Payer was recently inducted into the High-End Audio Hall of Fame and is an incredibly talented designer. He's also a really good human being, and I'm very happy to call him a friend of mine. But his first speaker, which was 30 years ago, was called the Procyon, and it featured a very similar technology to what's in ORION. It was a precursor to ORION. It was a dual shell composite enclosure. It had fiberglass on the outside, monocoque fiberglass molded outside, fiberglass inside, and then a damping core in the middle. ORION is similar, except it's got carbon fiber on the outside, and it's got a cast aluminum inner structure, and then it's got 115 pounds of our proprietary viscoelastic damping core. We do all this because it makes the speaker very quiet, and when the speaker is quiet, you can hear the music. What we're trying to do is eliminate the speaker's own sound from the music, so you can just hear the music. And when you do that successfully, we find that the sound is very musical. It has great foundational bass. It's got great dynamics. It's never fatiguing, although it gives you all the information that's on the music. And that's really what Rockport Technologies is all about. And then I'm going to introduce Josh Clark, who's the owner and president of Rockport Technologies. Josh worked with Andy. This was their first collaborative effort on the ORION, and he's going to tell you more about kind of the technology behind ORION and the design goals.
Was able to find a way to join Andy and become the owner of Rockport, but really, for me, it is that mentorship and taking what the work that he's done forward into the future. And this product was the first product that we were able to work on together. And there were two primary goals. Number one was, have you all heard of our Lyra loudspeaker?
Yes.
I know our friends here have this, our friends there have this. Lyra in US dollars is $190,000. And the next product down below in our line before was Cygnus, which is 70,000 US dollars. And it was a very big jump up to the Lyra in performance and in price. And so our first goal with this new product was to have a product that would bring much more of what the Lyra has in terms of dynamics and low noise, low distortion, but at a somewhat less expensive price. So that's goal number one. Goal number two was, and a couple of us were discussing this earlier, many of us have rooms where we can't fit a gigantic speaker, or it's upstairs and we can't carry 300 kilos up the stairs. So we wanted to make a somewhat smaller, less heavy speaker that would work really well in smaller spaces, but would give you the ultimate level of dynamics, full range frequency, all the low bass, all the dynamics. Maybe, of course, there's always more that you can achieve, but we wanted to achieve the top level comparable to our Lyra product. The short story is Lyra is made with an outer cast aluminum shell and an inner cast aluminum shell. It's very, very expensive to build a speaker that way, especially when you have to make a beautiful, smooth, painted surface on the outside of cast aluminum. And so this product, we chose to do a cast aluminum inner shell where it does not have to be cosmetically beautiful, but the great advantages of a casting, which is extremely dense and rigid and massive and stiff, can be the core the skeleton of the speaker. And then the outer shell, we chose carbon fiber, which is almost as stiff and strong as cast aluminum in a thick setting, but is somewhat easier to mold and to get a nice, beautiful finish on. So I would not say carbon fiber is a compromise, but it is not as heavy or as massive or quite as stiff as the aluminum shell in Lyra. However, building it into this dual monocoque cabinet shape with a large section thickness and a large damping volume gives you tremendous solidity and rigidity and also damping, so it keeps the noise low. So that's the cabinet. The cabinet is what got us closer to design goal number 1, which is some of the performance of the Lyra. The second part is how do we make it a full-range speaker but smaller? And to do that, we chose to make a 3-driver 3-way, the simplest, most pure way of doing a full-range speaker. Now, if I had known how long it would take and how difficult it would be to build 3 all-new drivers, because one thing about Rockport is we make every piece of our drivers ourselves. And the testing that goes into particularly this mid-range and tweeter has taken us years and hundreds of thousands of dollars and just so much elapsed time. And I can talk about that with you separately afterwards, but let me explain why. So we start with the bass. We have a 10-inch woofer, but if you want to achieve ultimate dynamics with one woofer and ultimate bass extension, you need a bigger woofer. So we designed this 13-inch, very high power, low friction, ideal Q woofer, which would carry the bass frequencies and true full range dynamics. However, if you make a bigger woofer, as you get up in frequency into the mid-range, the woofer is not going to react as well when it's getting into the bottom male vocals. So that means we had to make a bigger mid-range. So we went from a 6-inch mid-range to a 7-inch mid-range, which in mass, it's about 35% heavier. And that was a real engineering challenge for us to deal with the bigger mid-range. And I can also talk about that. But so this mid-range is crossing over a little bit lower at about 140 hertz compared to our other speakers where the crossover is around 150 hertz. Doesn't sound like much, but it's actually a very important difference. However, if you make a bigger mid-range, some of you probably know from acoustic science that a mid-range driver has a very wide dispersion in its lower frequencies, but as the wavelength gets shorter, the dispersion starts to narrow and it's going to beam. So because we used a bigger mid-range, the beaming happens at a lower frequency. That means we needed a bigger tweeter to come down lower to meet this mid-range. So we designed our own beryllium dome tweeter from scratch with a 31 millimeter dome. We make the dome, we make the motor, we make the waveguide, everything so that we can cross over at 1,800 cycles instead of about 2,100 cycles where our other speakers cross over. So this was a big project for us, and we're really happy with the result. It just took far too long. It cost too much money, but it was a great project, and I was happy to be able to work with Andy throughout the entire design process and really learn from him. One of them, many of our products have a grill, but the Lyra product in our line did not have a grill previously. So we wanted to design a grill that would be visually invisible when you're not in use. So we did a magnetic grill for ORION that allows you to, you have to align it, but it allows you to cover up the speaker, especially if you have children who are visiting, they like to touch drivers. This is a good thing. It still sounds very good. It's not optimized. It's not perfect with the grill on, but it allows you to have that cover for the speaker. So we have grills for this product. We've also significantly improved the installation process for ORION because it comes with casters on the feet. Instead of these feet, when it comes out of the crate, you stand up the crate and you can roll the speaker out, which Ernest, who has been with Rockport for a long time, and Ball knows that our bigger speakers can be a lot of work to install, and we wanted to improve those features somewhat. So we added some new installation features, a new owner's manual, new setup guide. So we are trying to enhance the total owner experience for Rockport. And Ernest, I believe that is a surprise to you.
Oh, yeah.
We will talk about that. Yeah. With any Rockport product, it's going to take you there, to the event, to the time. It's a time machine in a way, as Andy Payor has often said. And you get that with all of our speakers, but as you move up, especially with the ORION and the Lyra, you really physically are transported, and emotionally you're transported into that musical experience, that event. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much.